How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Living Life on Purpose. Today I'm going to be showing you a video because I actually had a friend who was asking me about this. They were asking me how I save money on flights. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that today. So there are a couple of things that you can do to help you save some money. There are certain websites that you can go to where you can compare some different flight prices, as well as some things that'll actually help you save a little bit of money if you do it ahead of time. So one thing that I like to do is I like to make sure that I have all of my cookies cleared out from my browser history to make sure that websites aren't tracking any of those, because what some airlines do is they actually use those to drive up some of the prices once they see that you've been looking at that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clear that out by opening up Safari and then coming up here to the Safari tab. Once I go down to preferences, I can then open up this manage website data button here, and then that's going to show me all of the places that I have been to, and I've actually cleared it out recently because I was already looking at flights. So I'm going to go ahead and click on remove all and then remove now, and then that's going to clear out everything that my website has been saving. And so that's even going to include like my like email and passwords and stuff like that, so that's going to get cleared out, but that's okay. Because that means that all of the websites that I'm going to be looking at, they're not going to be tracking any of that history. Another thing that you can also do is open up one of the Incognito browsers, and then that's going to also help you save some on flights as well. All right, so I'm going to go to Google Flights, and now that I'm here, I'm going to look at all of the different airports that I can fly out of, but we're gonna leave the destination open, and you can add that if you need to go to a specific destination. But if you're just looking at like a certain time period where you can go on vacation and you don't want to fill in the destination, like that's great too. So I'm gonna fill in places right around where we live. So I'm gonna use the Roanoke Airport, and then I'm gonna come back here and I'm actually gonna add all of the other airports that I could drive to as well to save some money. So that's gonna include Dulles, that's going to include Reagan. We can fly out of Richmond. We can fly out of Charlotte. Okay, and so now that I've got those, I could probably add a few more if I wanted to, but I'm just going to add those for now. Now I'm not going to fill in the destination, but what I am going to do is I'm going to switch some of these other things. I'm going to switch it to one-way. And the reason is because I want to see what the one-way flights are, because sometimes when you book the round-trip tickets, you may be paying more for the return trip because it limits you to which airline you're using. You're using the same airline going there and coming back, whereas if you use one-way, you can use the cheapest flights going there and coming back. Now, because of that, sometimes the airline will give you a deal for booking round-trip so that they can get a little bit more out of you. Sometimes it's not gonna be double the price. So I'm just gonna compare and contrast some of those prices. I'm gonna look at one-way flights, then I'm gonna look at non-stop or round-trip flights as well. Once again, I'm gonna leave the destination blank, but what I am gonna do is I'm gonna look at, let's say that you needed some dates for, say sometime in the month of June. And it doesn't have to be specific, so we're gonna go ahead and click explore, and then we're gonna come back at the dates and we're gonna click on flexible dates, and then we're just gonna say we want to go sometime either in June or July, so we can look at both of those months and then we can compare the cheapest prices. So let's look at June first of all. And then now on our map here, we can look at all of the possible destinations that we can get to in the month of June. Now, if you wanted to, you could change this to specific dates up here, but I'm gonna look at the flexible dates first of all. So you can see from here, if we're leaving from anywhere in this Virginia area, we can get to a lot of places for a pretty decent price. Now remember, with all of these prices that you're seeing, those are one-way flights, and so like it's not quite as amazing yet, but I see some really good ones getting to Miami for only $78, New York for $82, Nashville from Richmond for $40. Let's see what Atlanta is. Atlanta for $122 from Richmond, down to Cancun for $116. So some pretty good prices locally. Let's see what we've got going for South America. I've always wanted to go to Rio de Janeiro, so that will be an awesome trip when we get to go there, but $346 for that one. And so anyways, this is just like really fun for me to just play with as well, to just like look at all these places that we could go to. London for $328, Cairo for $581, not terrible for that one. So anyways, once I get a look at these one-way prices, I want to also look at the round trip prices as well, because like it is just convenient. It is just convenient to be able to book the round trip flight with the same airline and everything. So I'm going to look at the best prices overall for some of those things and then compare what we come up with. So some of the things that I'm seeing here, a lot of these look like they're about double the price, so I may save some money to go ahead and book the one-way flights, and then for the return flights I could change that up. But some of these flights you see here, Orlando for $126, New York for $128, like that's really not terrible. Nashville round trip for $87, Las Vegas for $354 round trip, Cancun for $394. Again, like these are not terrible prices. One other thing that you can do is you can turn on a VPN. So I use ExpressVPN, and so that can be really convenient. So I'm going to disconnect from the USA and I'm going to change it to India, and let's see if that's going to change the prices for any of these at all. Of course, you're going to see what these prices are in rupees. All right, and so now we can compare some of those prices. Now, all of these amounts are in rupees because I've got the VPN set to India, and so you'll just have to do the conversion rate. So here, if we're flying out of New York, so it's about $127, which was about what that price was to fly to New York. So some of those things you'll just have to check and see, like with the destination, if it actually saves you any money. So I don't always go through that method of trying to save money through flights. I sometimes use other websites as well. One website that you can use is trip.com. They usually have pretty good comparisons of different flights. I've already got my where I'm gonna fly out of entered in here. I've got my destination entered in here. Again, just looking at one-way flights because I can save money if I book some different ways, and I may not, but I at least want to compare. And so we're looking at a specific date here on this one, and so when I search those flights, I've got lots of different options here. And so what I wanted to show you with this is it does have a good comparison. So I've got it sorted by lowest price, and then I want to look at the options that I have here. So the cheapest one that I see here is $691 one-way flight, and so let's just look at that one here real quick. So one thing that I see is that baggage is not included for some segments of this flight. So even though it is listed as the cheapest one, I may not want to book this one because I'm going to end up having to pay for baggage anyways. And so that's one thing to look out for with flights, is if you're booking a budget airline, sometimes things that you're gonna get out of that is not gonna be worth it in the long run because of how much money you're gonna have to spend otherwise paying for baggage or food or things like that. So I'm not gonna book with this first one, especially seeing that it uses several different airlines, and some of them are budget airlines, so I'm not gonna go with that route. Here I see this one with Etihad. Etihad is a good airline, so I'm going to look at that one as well to see about baggage. Again, baggage not included for some segments, so I don't want to do with that one. So I would just continue looking through here to figure out which airline is best for us. One thing that we also think through as well is with these cheaper airlines, sometimes it's fine for us to book, but especially with us flying with Liam, flying with a toddler, we want to get very specific flights in. And so I usually look for ones that are long layover flights so that we can do an overnight flight to our first layover and then another long overnight flight to our destination. And so since we're going to be flying to Bangkok, that's what I've been looking at with some different flights. I've been looking at what can we do to fly over there this summer overnight to probably somewhere in Europe, and then spend a day at an airport somewhere, and then the next night do a long flight to get over there as well. So anyways, those are a couple of different things that I do. One other thing that you can do is you can look up a website that's going to track flights for you, and they can actually send you notifications once the flight prices drop. One app that I use is called the Hopper app, and you can tell it exactly when you want to travel, the airport that you're flying out of, as well as the destination, and then that's gonna give you a notification once those prices drop. So those are a couple of ways that I like to save money on flights. I'm sure that there are lots of other ways, and you guys can let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.